Hi guys, so in this video we will see how we can host a simple static website on Amazon S3, and then we will see how we can use Route 53 to route the traffic from our domain to S3 bucket. I will not just walk you through all the steps to host the website and then route the traffic, rather I will try to explain all the available options that you will see in Amazon S3 console or the Route 53 service console. So you people get the idea about why we are selecting that particular option or why we need to perform that particular step. So for us, the first step would be to create the bucket and then configure that bucket to be served as a static website. And then we have to register the custom domain inside the Route 53 service, which will then route the traffic that is coming to our domain, which is concept++.me, to route the traffic to bucket URL, which is this one. So if the user try to access this domain concept++.me, then the Route 53 will route the traffic to this bucket. So before we start, let me show you the template which we are going to upload. So this is a static website which is currently running on my local server. So we are going to upload this website on Amazon S3. Okay, so let me show you the files. So these are some HTML files, or we have some JavaScript files as well, and some images and some CSS files. So we are going to upload all this content in our S3 bucket, and then we will configure that bucket to be served as a static website. So let's get into the S3 service. So you can search for the S3 service in the search bar itself. So this is the search bar. You can search for S3 service and you can then select this. So currently I don't have any bucket, so that's why it is not listing any bucket. So if you can go into the buckets, it will show you, or it will list all the bucket. So this is how the S3 service console will look like. Before going to start, let me introduce about the S3 service. So S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, which is basically a storage service. And in S3 we have a concept of bucket and objects. Bucket, you can consider it as a container, and in that container we upload all the files and folders, and these files and folders will be stored as a objects. So let's create our first bucket. So click on the create bucket. So now we will discuss all the options that you will see in the this screen. So first one is the bucket name. So the bucket name must be unique. It should be globally unique. It cannot be duplicate. Okay, so should be globally unique. And the bucket name must be exactly matched to your domain name. So in our case, the domain is concept++.me. So I have entered it concept++.me. So it makes sure to have domain name exactly matches to your domain name. The bucket name should be matched to your domain name. And then AWS region. So you can select any AWS region based on your customer location. If your customer are mostly in the US region, you should select any of the US region. If your customer are in Asia region, you should select any of the Asia region, and you can find all the region in this drop down. Okay. For this demo, let's select North Virginia as a US region, and then object ownership. If you want other AWS account to allow access to all the content inside this bucket, then you can enable the ACL. If you have some, like suppose you have multiple AWS account, and if you want to share these files and folder in this bucket to be access to other AWS account, then you should enable ACL enable, and it will allow other AWS account to access these files and folder inside this bucket. Okay. And then public access. If we select this block all the public access, that means we are blocking all the public access from the internet. So no one from the internet can access the files and folder from this website or from this bucket. For now, let's select this block all the public access, and later we will later we will update this option, and we will also update the bucket policy so that it will be accessible from the internet. But for now, let's select block all the public access. And then bucket versioning. So in S3 we have a concept of bucket versioning, which is very interesting concept. So the versioning means it will allow us to have multiple version of a single file. So if you upload the same file with the same name, then it will create the new version of that file. It will not replace or delete the old version old file, rather it will create a new version of that file. So you can retrieve the old version anytime. You can roll back to your previous version if you want. So, but for this demo, let's keep it the disable. We don't need the bucket versioning as of now. And the tags are completely optional. So tags are basically used to organize the resources in the AWS. And then the encryption. So if you want to have encryption happen between the client and the S3 website, if you want the data to be encrypted between the client and the S3 bucket, then you should enable the, and in the advanced setting you can see the object locking option. So if you want to lock the object so that no one can write to that object, or it can be only access for the read, then you can select enable, or you can enable the object locking. So let's create the bucket. Okay, so the bucket is now created. So select the bucket. Okay, so we have to upload all the files and folder. For us, we have to upload all this content or all these files. So select or click on the upload, click on the add files. So we will first add all the files. So let's upload all the files first. Then click on the add folder, and then we will add the folder. So click on the add set, click on the upload, click on add folder, and select the remaining other folder, which is home folder. Click on the upload. Let's click on the upload, and it will start uploading all the files and folder in this bucket. So this will take some time. So I will pause this video and I will come back. So the upload is success. So click on close. Okay, and I should see all the files and folder inside this bucket. Okay, now I can see. So here I want you to focus on the two important files. First one is the index.html file, and the second one is error.html file. So every S3 static website should have at least the index.html file, or because this file will be going to be the root file for my bucket or for my website, or you can say it will be the home page or will be the landing page for this website. And then the error.html file will be used whenever user try to navigate to some incorrect path, then the error.html file will be shown to the user. Okay. You can have any other name as well apart from the index.html, but you should have at least one file which will be going to serve as a home page, or you can see the root file for your bucket. So now the bucket we have uploaded all the files. Now we have to configure this bucket to be served as a static website. So for that, go into the property tab, and at the bottom of this page you will see the static website hosting option. So currently it is disabled. That means the bucket is not enabled for the website hosting. So click on the edit button here, and then select the enable. Okay, now if you enable, then you have to select host a static website. So it will be bucket will be served as an endpoint as a web address URL. Okay, so the bucket will be served as a static website. And now we have to specify the index document. So that's why I was talking about the index.html file, because for us the index.html file will be going to uh, the home or the default page for our website. Okay. Similarly, the error.html file will be going to the file which will be return the error when something goes wrong. And the redirection where we will discuss it right away. Let's keep it as empty for now, and then click on the save changes. Okay, so the bucket is now enabled for the website hosting. And if you see we should get a URL. So this is the endpoint. So if I try to open this endpoint, so currently it should not work. Why? if you remember, we have blocked all the public access. So that's why we got 403 forbidden error, because we have blocked all the public access. Let me show you. If you go into the permission tab, and if you see, we have blocked all the public access. That's why we are seeing this 403 error. Okay, so that means no one from the internet can access the files and folder from this website. Okay, so now we have to edit so that it can be accessible from the internet. So select or unselect this or make it accessible. So unselect this, block all the public access, and click on the save changes. Click on the confirm, type the confirm, click on the confirm. Okay, so now the bucket is accessible from the internet, but we have also have to update the bucket policy. In AWS we have concept of bucket policy. So that means we have click on the edit, and the bucket policy basically tells who or who can access which resources. I have a policy ready, so I will select this policy and I will paste it here. I will explain the policy, don't worry. So this is the policy. So what this policy says: effect allow means allow, principal means who can access or which principal, you can say users. User is star, which means wildcard, means everyone. So allow everyone to access or to get the object. Get object means read the object from this bucket. So allow everyone to get the object or read the object from this resource. For us, the resource would be the S3 bucket. So allow everyone to access or to read the object from this bucket. Okay. So we have to specify the bucket name here, or we can simply copy this bucket ARN, copy this bucket ARN and paste it here. Also make sure to add the slash and the star, which allow everything inside this bucket to be accessible. Okay, now click on the save changes. Okay, the bucket is now publicly accessible. You can see the bucket now got the base publicly accessible. So now if I try to refresh this page, then hopefully we should see our bucket is hosted. Okay, I am facing some network issue now. Okay, now it is working. So you can see the bucket is now served as a static website. Okay, so we have created the bucket with the root domain, which is the concept++.me. But it is also possible that user try to access your domain with www.concepts.me. So for that we also create a new bucket which will give we give www.concepts.me. So if the user try to access the domain with www, then we will configure this bucket to be used. Okay, so select the default option for this bucket. We don't change anything. Click on the create bucket. Okay, so now we will configure this bucket to be redirect all the traffic that is coming to it. We will configure this bucket to redirect all the traffic to this root domain, because we want this bucket to be served as a root bucket. Okay, so everything coming to this bucket should redirect to this bucket or should or this domain. Okay, so we will configure this bucket, and we will configure this bucket to be served as a static website, and then we will enable this bucket to redirect all the traffic to our root bucket. So for that we need to click on the property. We will not update any, we will not upload any files and folders inside this bucket, because we want all the traffic to be served from our root domain. So let's select the property tab or property option, and we will enable the bucket for the website hosting. So click on the edit, click on the enabled, and this time we will select redirect request for an object. So If this bucket or if this domain get any traffic, get any request, then simply redirect the request to our concept plus plus domain. Okay, and click the HTTP protocol, because S3 only allow HTTP protocol. It won't allow HTTPS protocol. So click on HTTP and save changes. Okay, so we got the two bucket ready. So we have completed the first step. So let me go into the diagram. So we have completed the first step. We have created the bucket and we have served this bucket to be served as a static website. Now we will configure the route 53 to route the traffic from our domain to this S3 bucket. So for that, let's go into the route 53 service. Search for the route 53 in the search bar. Click in the new tab, open a new tab. Okay, so first we have to create the hosted zone. I have already purchased the domain and I have already created a hosted zone for my for my domain. So for me the domain is concept++.me. So I have created the hosted zone with the domain name concept++.me. So when you create the hosted zone, it will automatically create the two record for you. First one is with the type ns and second one is the SOA. Okay, so now we have to create a record and click on the routing place. For the routing policy, select the simple routing. We have a different routing policy: weightage, geolocation, latency, failover. So these policy have their own significance. So suppose for the geolocation, if you want to route the traffic based on the location of your user, based on your particular requirement, we can select any of the routing policy. Each routing policy has their own significance. But for this demo, let's keep it simple and we will select the simple routing policy and click on the next. Click define the simple record. So we have to define a record, and that record we have to specify how we want the traffic to route. So we want concept++.me to the traffic coming to this concept++.me domain to route it to this S3 bucket. So we have to select the S3 bucket here, or alias to S3 bucket. So click on alias to S3 bucket, S3 endpoint. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to say uh, route every traffic that is coming to concept++.me to this S3 website. Okay, so we have hosted our website on in North Virginia region. So you have to select the particular region. So select the North Virginia region, and now we have to select your domain. So for me, the bucket is concept++.me. Okay, you can also enable the target health. So if you enable, then route 53 periodically check the health of your S3 bucket, like every 2 or 3 minutes it will ping the S3 bucket to check if it is working properly fine or not. Okay, so now click on the define record and it will create the record. And now finally click on the create record. Okay, so the record is created. So we created the record for our root domain. Similarly, we have to create the record for our www.concept++.me domain. Okay, and it will take some time to propagate the DNS. So we have to wait for like 60 minutes, 60 seconds at least. So meanwhile, we will create another record for our www.conceptplus.me domain. So click on the simple route policy, select the simple route policy and click on the next. Define simple record, and this time we will say www.concept.me. So route everything from www.concept.me to the bucket, which is the alias to S3 endpoint. Select the region, which is North Virginia region. and select our bucket endpoint, which is www.concept++.me, and click on define simple record. Click on the create record. Okay, now the record is created. So we created the two record. So hopefully if the DNS has been propagated successfully, then we should see the concept++.me uh, should redirect the traffic to our S3 bucket. So if I click it in new tab, I open. Okay, perfect. Seems like yes. So our bucket, so all the traffic that is coming to this domain is now redirect to this bucket. Okay. In the next video, we will integrate the CloudFront distribution with this S3 static website.